I know exactly how it feels to have 12 different business ideas running through your head and still being paralyzed because you aren't sure which one God actually wants you to build. Maybe it's a coaching business or a book that you're supposed to write or art you're supposed to make or the course idea, the creative project, the company, the physical product. Maybe it's going back to something that you thought you should do, but then it didn't work out and you don't know if that was a sign or not. And this is what's killing you more than anything is that you're so afraid of choosing the wrong thing that you end up choosing nothing. And even when you do choose, you can't commit to it because you don't know if it's the right path. Meanwhile, there is somebody else with half your skill, half your talent, half your abilities who just picked something and stuck to it and is now making 6 to 7 figures and impacting thousands of people while you are still here trying to figure out God's will. And every Sunday, you pray for clarity. And then every Monday, you're still confused. And deep down, you are terrified to build the wrong thing and to miss what you were put here to do. But what if I told you that there is a way to know beyond the shadow of any doubt what business God is calling you to build? And in this video, I'm going to break down step by step exactly what you need. And by the end of it, you will have exactly what you need to be able to move forward. Now, the first step is to start with the end in mind. So this is going to help you prevent so much of the downfalls of so many successful business people who are actually trapped in fancy prisons with golden handcuffs. You see, most people, we start with what do I want to build, but that is backwards. What you need to do is figure out what are you refusing to sacrifice for success? Because when you do this, things start to clear up immediately. So for me, for example, I had 3 things or 4 things rather that were non-negotiable for me. Number one was I wanted uncapped income. I know the calling that I have and the gift of giving that I have is to give so big that I'm going to need to be able to make a lot of income in order to be able to give a lot of it to these places where the Lord has put my heart. And so I needed to not have something that was going to be capping my income by being like coaching where I'm only going to be able to work a limited number of hours and then I have to start outsourcing, or a physical product where I have to worry about supply chain issues. So I needed something that was going to be uncapped. The second thing that I personally needed was location freedom. I wanted to be able to travel and to be able to see this amazing world that God has built and not be tied to a brick and mortar facility. And so I needed to be able to work anywhere that had Wi-Fi. And then the third thing for me that I needed was I needed time freedom. I wanted to be able to not spend my days again on sales calls or cold calling or door knocking or like doing all these tasks. I didn't want to have to manage a big team or any of that. I wanted to be able to genuinely spend my time doing things that I enjoy, taking care of my family, being able to serve in church and still have a business that's making money even when I decided to take off, even when I decided that I wanted to relax and reset. And then the fourth thing for me was being able to understand that what I was doing was deeply meaningful and aligned with what God had called me to do. I didn't just want to do something that was going to make money. I've had a high figure, 6-figure job and the PTO and all of that stuff. And what I realized is that money without meaning is so empty. And so I didn't want to go from performing for a performance review to then performing for an algorithm in a business that I hated. And so those 4 things were necessary for me. And when I wrote that list, literally 90% of the things that I thought were options for what I wanted to do with business completely left the building. And so when you clarify that, you will find that that immediately removes some of those things off of your list. And then you want to consider the next part, which is your natural design. Okay. So there are things that you naturally are going to be more inclined to do and less. So if you're an introvert, do not build a business that requires you to do constant networking events. If family dinners scare you, then do not build something that demands that you get on calls with every single client. You see, a lot of times we think that our limitations are bugs, but they are actually features. They are guardrails to keep you in the lane that God designed you for. And so what happens is people will see what somebody else has and think because you like what they have, that means you should do what they do, but you weren't given the same gifting they were. You weren't given the same calling. You admire that shark that goes through and they're doing it, but you're an eagle. You weren't designed to have gills and to be underwater and to go into the depths. You were designed to soar. And then somebody else is a cat and they were designed to do something else. And we all have our own things, and you will never be more successful at something than the thing that you were uniquely designed to do. And this is what I call your inner economy. Okay. This is the natural DNA that you have that enables you to produce wealth. It's the thing that is so simple, that comes so easily, so effortlessly to you, you that you've never thought about it even being something you get paid for because you don't think it's special. And that's called familiarity bias, where because we understand it's something so deeply and we are familiar with it, we lose the ability to see its value to the world. But that is your magic that if you know how to monetize it can change everything. And so another thing I want you to consider when you're considering these options is as you're going through each one of your business ideas, think about how it actually feels in your body. I think a lot of times, especially as Christians, we can get into the kind of facts aren't your feelings and go to truth, which we should. I'm not saying that we shouldn't make our decisions based on truth. That is certainly true. But I think we sometimes discount the value of our emotional compass and of the fact that our body tells us things. And so when you have that business idea, when you think about posting that content, when you think about doing whatever it is, and you get that feeling, that tightness, you start to tense up, you get that feeling in your stomach, and it's not a good feeling. It's not like anticipation, it's like dread. And it's very difficult for you to do it. Don't do it. Like that is information. And do you know that our minds actually are much slower than our emotions? And our emotions pick up on things 5 times faster than our mind does. And that's why when you have a gut feeling about someone, it ends up often being right because your emotions were able to process that before your logical brain could catch up to it. And so when you are able to use that as you're looking through these ideas, you're going to find some that naturally make you feel anticipation, that you feel excited, the projects you keep working on that you keep being drawn to, and then others that feel more like obligations, like maybe somebody else told you this was the way to do it. And so you've been trying to do it because you're trying to fit what God told them to do, not what he told you to do. Okay. And so think about this. Which idea feels the easiest to start? And not easiest to work on, but the easiest because it flows with how you are naturally wired. Like for me, I yap all the time, run my mouth. Okay. Love doing it. And you know what I get to do now? I get paid for running my mouth. Okay. I get paid to talk to a camera to impact literally millions of people and create content doing something that I used to be doing for free. It was so natural to me, almost too natural, almost too easy that I didn't think that anybody would really care what I had to say because the people around me didn't. But those weren't the people who God had instructed me to actually talk to, you know? And so maybe the coaching feels hard because you hate sales calls, but the course feels natural because you love teaching through content. That's what I love to do. I love to package my knowledge and the things and the insights that the Lord has given me and put it into something that can provide a transformation for someone else. And that's exactly what I've been able to do that gives me the lifestyle that I have to make over 100K a month working 5 hours a week is because I was able to figure out what made sense for me, what was something that I enjoyed when I could bring transformations to other people while still being able to have the freedom that I needed in my own life. And there's a diagnostic test that I go through that helps you understand the 3 components of your inner economy. And that and so much more is included in the free training that I created exactly for people like you who are in corporate jobs. You feel like the life of you is being sucked out of you and you want to move into maybe business, but that scares you too because all you see is the business bros who are working 1,000,000 hours a week and telling you to hustle hard and do this, that, and the third. But you really just want to not move like a machine, but you want to cultivate a garden and you want to be able to plant something that's going to produce fruit for you for the rest of your life. And so if you're interested in that, I have the free training in the description that goes into depth. But if you still want to continue on here and learn the rest of the steps, I'm going to continue going into that now. So now another thing that you can use to determine whether or not you should be doing a particular business is thinking about what is going to give you the foundation for the others. So again, in my situation, there were other things and causes and charities that I was passionate about that I wanted to help, certain groups of people that I wanted to be able to help support, or certain ideas like writing a book that I probably will do in the future. But when I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, if I start this business of creating programs and offers to help people transform, that is going to give me the financial security and that foundation that I need so that when I do write a book, now that I'm working on those things, I have complete creative freedom and financial security to be able to do it. I would have hated doing that at the beginning and trying to focus on that for being my source of income, when obviously selling a book that's $12 is very different than building your income off of selling a program that is $1, $2, $3, or $4, $5,000. And so I was thinking, like, I want to do both of these. I'm really excited about both of them, but maybe the order that I do it in, I can determine based on what would be the most wise, because now it gives me the freedom to pursue all the other creative endeavors that I am interested in with no pressure and with all of the finances in the world that I get to do it on my own terms. And now the final step is to get someone to show you, okay? So this is the trap that most people fall into, why many people, even when you get the right idea, even when you understand energetically like where the Lord is leading you based on, you can tell the things in your body, the things that you're anticipating. The Bible says that having advisors and having counselors is wise. And so you wouldn't try to learn surgery from YouTube. You wouldn't try to teach yourself how to fly a plane, but somehow we think that we're just going to be able to walk into a God honoring, profitable business without guidance. And so the fastest way to clarity, it isn't by thinking more, it's by taking action and trusting that the clarity is going to find you after you are obedient, that you're going to be able to see not the entire staircase, but that all you need to know is the first step. And when you figure out what the destination that you want to be at is, the best thing you can do is find someone who is doing the same thing and ask them to teach you. Better yet, if they have a program or something, you want to pay them to teach you. And this is exactly what I did, and where I was able to learn things. And then when I finally did it, you can put your own spin on it and tweak things to your personal preferences and the way that you were built. But it has to be someone who understands that wealth building and honoring God aren't contradictory goals, that who has built something that is not only profitable, but sustainable, and that really aligns with what you believe. Because I made the mistake of learning from someone and they were making money, but I'm not going to put quotes, they were making money, but the way that they were doing it was in a way that was a hustle and a grind, and that involved showing up and faking a persona and niching down and posting every single day, and just these things that ended up being exhausting and made me feel right back like I was in a new form of the rat race. And it wasn't until I uncovered the way that I now do business that allows me to literally create content when I feel like doing it, and to be congruent instead of consistent, to not feel like I'm boxed in some sort of niche, but no, I can explore whatever I want and to create content in an overflow way, not an obligation way, while still being able to dramatically help people and still have time freedom. Like, that is what I've been able to figure out by the grace of God. And again, what I share in that training. And it's not for everyone, but my point is, you figure out based on what you were able to deduce, the thing that is the best thing for you to start with first. And like I said, if you still have, after all of that, a few options on your table, think about what is going to work with your own natural gifts and allow you to get that foundation the fastest, so that then you can continue to pursue those other things. Because by the grace of God, we're not limited to doing one thing our entire life, but having money when you do that thing and time will certainly make it easier. So here's what I know about God's timing, is that he often gives us the vision before we have the complete roadmap, but he always gives us the next step. And so your job isn't to figure out the entire business plan before you start. Your job is to take the next faithful step with what he has already shown you, and trust that the clarity will come when walking, not in the planning. And here's what most people don't realize. It's that not deciding is a decision, and that every day you spend trying to figure out this alone is a day that you end up not walking in what you were supposed to, is another day that the people who you were meant to help do not have the solution that only you can bring into this world. And the cost of clarity is always less than the cost of confusion. And so if you do want access to the complete system for discovering your business calling, including all the frameworks and things that I mentioned, as well as more specific diagnostics tools to help you uncover where you could be going, then I've put together a free training that does walk through that exact process. That is in the description. If you have any more questions, please put it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are ready to walk forward and this is giving you clarity, comment clarity in the comments. And remember, you're not looking for perfect clarity, just the next step in order to keep moving forward, and know that the rest of it will follow your obedience, not come before it.